I'm fucking nervous to mess this up. I don't want this to be like a standard interview.
Every time I go to a wedding, I still, till this day, feel that I'm shooting this for the first freaking time, man. I'm insecure as fuck, man. I'm always afraid of everything. Always, man. I'm like, fuck me.
You're listening to For the Hearts Still Beating, not a podcast for perfect photographers, a home for the restless ones, the storytellers, the misfits, the ones tired of the echo chamber. I'm Björn. Let's tear the old rules apart and build something real instead. Hi guys, so this is the first episode of my new podcast called For the Hearts Still Beating, and to be honest, I am a little it's a lie. I'm fucking nervous to mess this up. I don't know where this will be going, but I know that I've recorded a podcast episode with my guest today, like 5 years ago, maybe. But the episode never saw light of day because I totally fucked up the recording and everything that he said was completely distorted. No one could understand a word. So I'm really happy that he agreed to be here again, and our friendship did not really take damage from that. So today on the show we got Fer Juaristi, the Mexican. How do you say yourself? The Mexican monkey? Why do you say that, brother? Like,
yeah, no, people tell it like that, and I say yes, man. I never say no to anything.
Okay, man. It's crazy. Okay, so like I want you to know first, like I don't want this to be like a standard interview. I want this to be like, imagine we're sitting like on a beach side. It's gonna be a fireplace. I want this to feel like a conversation between friends, like the kind of shit that we would have maybe loved to listen to a few years ago. What, like, let's not lie, almost like 15, 20 years ago when we joined the industry. So
yeah,
we're getting old. So this is like no rules, no pretending. This is just like us talking. Outside of photography, I want to go right away to some other thing. Like, what's lighting your fire these days? Like, what's keeping you awake? What's keeping you busy?
You know, I was talking to a friend this morning, and I was just telling him, like, dude, after almost 20 years of doing this, and I'm still improvising like 90% of my life, you know. So yeah. It's I don't know, it's like systems and structure since I was a kid are things that I'm afraid of, you know, like the 10 steps you have to do to get here, or your personality type. Like everything has to be into boxes, and I hate that shit. So I think one of the benefits that I thought was the opposite as a good thing, a bad thing in my life, was my lack of memory. So every time I have a consultation with a couple, or I go to a wedding, I still, till this day, Born, feel that I'm shooting this for the first freaking time, man.
Yeah.
So,
but
yes,
I can totally relate to this structure kind of thing, because I'm the same. Like, my life basically is a mess. Like, I have, like, I'm definitely lacking priorities when it comes to what do I do, what's important now. Like, I got so many ideas, but then I don't really know where to start, because I got this huge fucking to-do list that it just basically overwhelms me. So for me, sometimes I try to find systems to kind of stick to it, because I hope that it kind of makes my life easier. So I set them up, but then it turns out I don't use them really, because I can't get used to them. So in like these days, with all the AI help, for example, I have ChatGPT do so many systems for me, and I'm like coming up with ideas. I'm like, hey, let's do this, let's do that, and it kind of helps me at times, because I use it as like an assistant to talk to, like to kind of like bring some sort of structure in my day to day, like what I need to do. Nice. But then again, I'm like, fuck. Like, for example, if we talk social media, people tell me like it's easier if you plan your content, and I'm like, I don't want that. Like, I'm posting what I want to feel. Like, then it's like 2 hours thinking like this photo or that photo. So it's wasting time so much. So I would love to be more into systems, but it's so fucking hard. But I want to go back to what you said about like every wedding feeling like a new first time, because I I think that maybe you agree on that. Would you say it's what keeps you creative and what keeps you high on top of the game? Because I feel like as a photographer, there's not so many photographers in the industry who kind of surprise me anymore with what they do. And I can already, I mean, I can tell that this is shot by you. This is like a fair shot. Sometimes, especially for the portraits, I feel like you always come up with something new. I think we all seen like basically every Rodney Smith photo that ever inspired you, but I feel like especially with portraits, you kind of surprised me time and time again, and I think that's pretty amazing because I myself feel like I'm just repeating what I'm doing all the time again.
Hmm. Yeah, well, like after COVID, I started to don't get a lot of importance into portraits. I was like, I don't give a damn about portraits, man. I'm just gonna focus in like smaller moments, um, and believe me, I have had some weddings that we don't have portraits. Like I think the non-trained eye, like normal couples, when they see my work, they think that it's not posed. They say, "Yeah, we choose you because it's everything looks natural," and that the
Yeah,
truth is different. Like
yeah,
you're planning your composition and where they're gonna be, and you're gonna tell them to do like a fake laugh or whatever. But for them, it's a moment. So so I have to really connect with them and say, hey guys, like this was posed, this was natural, because if not, if they don't allow you to have a little bit of time to create, it becomes a difficult thing to do. Um, and as well, I think one way for me to keep fresh is to try not to have control of things. Like for example, when I'm working with videographers now, I say, and we're doing the portraits, I say, you go first, you know. And before I was like, no, I'm the photographer, I'm the main guy. Video sucks. And now I have learned so much from video, like the use of motion, and how they sometimes they repeat the action a few times, but you have more opportunities to create that. So nowadays, if I have 5 minutes to do by myself, I'm happy, man. And if the video guys have 20, I'm still gonna be photographing, but the pressure is not on me, it's on them. So yeah, I think I share more shit now than I don't want to be the guy who controls everything. I'm just an invisible guy.
yeah. I kind of felt that by the things you shared on Instagram, basically that there's more moment focus instead of the portraits because I feel like um in the past maybe you were most known for your eccentric creative portraits, like with really graphical, minimal. And I think this is what stood out the most, but it kind of um undersold your documentary photography, which is, I think it's amazing. I mean, we first met in, I think it was 2014, 2013 in Amsterdam when you were speaking at the Fearless conference.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And and if you think about Fearless, portraits is not what you think about at all because it's a documentary approach. And I always felt like at the time when me included, most people were paying attention to your creative photography and when it comes to portrait because it was different than what everybody else was doing. It kind of neglected how amazing you are in documentary as well.
Well, thank you, but it's the same. I think as artists, we don't believe in ourselves. So I remember when I got that invitation for the Fearless convention, I was like, dude, I don't deserve this shit. I don't belong to the cool F8 Magnum 7 photographers. I
I
don't
see
do
you.
that shit. And I love consuming that kind of photography, but I don't know how to do it. So, and they are inviting me for next year still, and I'm afraid. I'm like, no, 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 I don't want to do this shit again, because
But
it's a different league. And I prefer to be like something good in every league, in the artistic and then in the documentary. But I know there are amazing like portrait photographers and amazing documentary photographers. I just want to know how to do a little bit of everything and keep it fresh for me.
As you said that you are kind of freaks you out, like being invited and feeling like not belonging. Do you see this just with these like conferences or conventions? Like how is it for you? Like for example, for me, like every wedding I come home and I feel like I fucked up after every
Yeah,
wedding. Like my wife
yeah,
then goes like, it's gonna be good. I remember I shot a wedding last year, and we had like two portrait sessions during the day because they wanted to have like one in the middle of the day before the ceremony, and one like when the light was better. And so when we went out um for the second session, the bride asked me, "Well, did you capture some great shots already?" And I'm like, "Do not ask me that. Like, if you ask me that, I will break down and cry because I feel like I didn't do anything good until now." How is that for you? Like, do you? I mean, for me, I feel like it really helps me not being complacent and being improving, because I feel like I'm not good enough. But how is that for you? Does this happen to you anymore? And how do you cope with that?
no, every single time, man. Like I shoot a lot of weddings for photographers,
Yeah,
so it
same.
adds another layer of pressure, and I hate it, but I love it, because um, you have to keep being challenged, you know, and that's the thing, that's the magic, that if you see yourself that this is a race with you. You're gonna be fine, but every single time I have to see my images, I see all the mistakes first, and then I try to find the ones I like a lot, and as well, um, we repeat ourselves a lot constantly. We're not freaking magicians. We're not gonna do a different kind of photography. I think it's you have to acknowledge what makes a photo of you like unique for yourself, not for social media, not for your peers, for yourself. And then when you go and try to photograph it, okay, add a few variables, like a complementary color or a little bit more of distance or a different lens, but it's the same structure. And I think sometimes creativity, it's like something new every single time. I think that's bullshit. It's small changes until something new happens for you.
Yeah, I feel like oftentimes people who are repeating themselves feel like they're not creative anymore, but maybe it's just that they found their style. So it's more about that. And then like I feel that there's this interesting component of peer pressure coming in, that you basically, when you go to Instagram, you will see what other people like shot, and you feel like, oh, this is way more interesting than what I do. But maybe it's just because they had like a more interesting place, or they had the different light. And then again, it's like, I often feel like, especially when I'm culling after the wedding, like a few years ago, to be honest, I was looking for like these epic shots that I knew that they would do amazing on social media and things like that. And now I feel like, of course, I'm looking for these again, but maybe not so much anymore, because I know it's the game on social media changed anyway. So it's all about reels and whatever. So nobody cares about seeing photos anymore at all. So it doesn't bother me so much. And in the end, it came down to asking like, but what do my clients care about? Do they care so much about the amazing portraits I do because I love them so much and this is what I show, and this is therefore I think they book me for that? Or do they
Mhm.
care about like maybe a little less creative photo of them hugging someone and crying their hearts out?
Yes.
Like kind of like, what kind of photo would we take if we were not allowed to show it to anybody to promote ourselves? And
Mm.
the only people who will ever see it are our clients. Like, how would
Mhm.
that change our photography? And I'm pretty sure it would change it somehow.
Mm-hmm. Well, we have to play the game. It's as simple as that. Like I have friends who who are not even on Instagram, and they have their agenda full because they know how to relate with wedding planners and past couples. So like social media, we have to understand it's a fucking game, and that's it. Um, and one exercise that I think we have to do every single year, it's like, okay, this year I did 20 weddings, amazing. Which ones I truly love, and then how those couples found me, and those are the ones that you have to pamper and take care of instead of the rest.
Yeah,
So every January I do that exercise of the last year, to put my attention into that. And for example, I live in Mexico, so sometimes I do 600 guests Catholic wedding,
yeah,
and
crazy
then
shit. I would,
and then I do
I
a,
would never
a
want to do that.
elopement. But again, like if you like chaos, they're fucking amazing, man. You
Yeah,
know?
but I think it's for me. I love chaos, but I think it would be more like a war, and I'm not really sure if I like going to war.
No, no, no.
I,
But
but
again, if their couples know your point of view and how it's gonna be your approach, you're gonna do the same shit as if it was a 20 wedding wedding. But the variety, it's amazing.
I find it interesting that you say every January you go back to looking at the past year. Like, what's your process for that?
I always ask them how they found me. Just like that. Like so I put their names, I go to their contact form, how they found me, if it was through social media, wedding planners, past couples, or if they are photographers. And with that, I can know which ones I want to keep attracting. So like for example, last year I started to do like movies on like a Super 8, like a vintage camera, and that's how I keeping it fresh as well. So I'm introducing that to couples that I know they're gonna value that. Like intimate weddings, family weddings, and I'm loving that shit. Until this year, I'm being able to sell that. So I'm doing photo and video at the same time, man.
Crazy.
Uh, yeah, man, but it's funky, man. That's how I keep it fresh, by adding a little bit more of pressure to myself.
So
Yeah.
was the Super 8 edition, was it like a choice you made on purpose, or was it something you wanted to try and then realized you love that shit?
Before doing weddings, I was doing like music videos and working
Oh yeah,
on
I remember.
advertising. Yeah, so it's the same. Like photography, I take it very seriously. Composition, light, structure, everything. And Super 8, it's just like a fucking go, man. So it's like a way to release pressure.
Yeah. Would you say because of the medium itself, because it's not so perfect by what comes out of it, and you can't control so much about it, and it's everything is like handheld and shaky and messy anyway, it kind of makes it easier for you to kind of release your perfectionism when it comes to composition and things?
Correct, correct. That's it. It's the opposite as what I offer on photography, but it's done by the same guy at the same time. So it's a clash, man. It's like playing death metal with classical music, or with cumbia, man. So it's like they don't relate, but I love the result, man. One it's reality, and the other one it's a dream. So it's something beautiful for me.
Yeah, I remember. Like, I always laughed when you referred to your photography documentary, or I'm not even sure if you call it documentary, but I remember that for years, like when you first told me that you kind of see your photography more like as a dream version of how you see the day. I kind of found that really inspiring because um, I think it opens up new spaces for photographers on a wedding day to do something that's not like doing the same thing over and over again. Because like most of the time, I mean, this like the structure of the day is almost the same all the time. So all you can do is play around with personality of the people and locations. And so
Yes.
if you see it more like a dream, I feel it's more open to like getting rid of stuff, like retouching things out, altering colors in a certain way. And I think it's something. you always done really well. Like I don't know, like when I first came across your website, maybe it was also the time I went to Fearless conference. I think by the time, which is like fuck, it's like 12 years ago almost. You had this website, and the first photo was the one with the dog. I think it was like a street dog and the bride walking barefoot. And then there was like a writing saying, did you ever think about your wedding as an experiment or something
Mm-hmm.
like that? And I honestly fucking loved that, because that was so different than what everybody else in the industry was doing by the time and still now, I feel. So
Mm-hmm.
do
Yeah.
do you feel like there, obviously we all develop as people, as humans, as artists, but would you still put up something like that today? Like by the that's just by the mindset, or or do you go a bit more safer nowadays?
So when I did it, it was very raw because I didn't have help from anyone. So on the newest website, I hire like this guy who helps me write things, and like a chat GPT but with legs and a heart.
Yeah, like a real
he,
human,
he
yeah.
yeah. So he helped me transform that. So now, instead of your wedding is an experiment, it's more like a let's do poetry together. So I think it's similar. I think it's less risky, but again, I'm asking for permission to go fucking bananas for them, and as well, if you don't like poetry, if you don't like the dream world, when you see that, you're gonna be like, fuck no, I want to be in Vogue, man. and
Yeah, yeah.
and so I'm not I so it's the same. You have to find the contrast. I'm this guy, I'm not that guy. So yeah, the more direct we are with our photography and our words, like the name of this podcast, man, congratulations, man. It's beautiful, it's powerful. I can relate to that.
Yeah.
you know it's it
Actually it's stolen.
Mhm.
Um, there's I've been using this phrase for like my brand, for the wedding photography brand, for a few years, and I'm like, my roots are in this whole punk rock and hardcore punk scene. And there's a band from Boston called Converge, and they have a song called Last Light, and this For the Hearts the Beating is a line from that song. And I've used that the first time for a slideshow in 2016 maybe, when I had like heartbeats on the sound and like in rhythm, and just found it was cool. Like a year ago or something, I started using it more again, because a groom of mine, whose wedding I shot in 2019, right before the pandemic. He is an art director, has his own agency, and they do lots of branding. And so he's also from the hardcore scene like me. So we have the same underground background. We still have, like, he was my client, so he has an understanding of what I do. And so we sat together and talked about, like, hey, how can I improve my branding or make it better? And so we spoke about how it makes sense to kind of integrate my background in this whole subculture more and more. So this is why like I started using different wordings, like I don't know, if you go to my website, there's like, and read it, there's
Mhm.
like a bit of a wedding context, of course, but the words I use are way more raw and rough. So that you're gonna find like the the word fuck a lot. Like,
Mhm.
I want the text on my website to be as raw as the experience with me will be. So I don't want it to be like all polished, and then I will show up on the wedding day and I'm going to be swearing all the time.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of like meeting them at some point, so they have an understanding of who they're gonna have on their wedding day, and just to have something that stands out more than the usual mainstreamy crowd. Because I feel like, especially in the wedding industry, it's too easy to get lost in the noise of what's
Mm.
trending and what's selling right now. Because then I don't know if it happens to you, and it's something I definitely want to talk about. Do you feel pressured by changes in the industry, that you kind of feel like, am I getting booked anymore because my style is different than any other style? Or would you say you are maybe lucky enough as well to get booked by photographers so much because they understand what you're
Mhm.
doing and they want, especially what you are doing, and they do not follow the trends so much instead of like the standard couple who has no idea about weddings, and then when they get married, they have a look at what's like trendy in that year, and nowadays it's trendy to be in vogue, and 3 years ago, 4 years ago, everybody was having like boho flower weddings, and if 2 years before that, like all images were just brown and there was no green and this kind of trendy shit.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
do you feel is it like something that bothers you, or would you say you can free your mind of that?
I think everything is welcome. We have to see it like as you were talking about your scene. The punk rock scene. Uh, for maybe 90% of the population, that's part of a documentary. That wasn't a scene. That's not an identity. And for you, it was and it is your life. And you're still here. So I think the big problem, sorry, it's
Somebody.
when we want to be mainstream every single year. That's the problem, because sometimes imagine next year that Vogue puts the trend of the punk weddings. So
Fuck. Please don't.
dude, no,
I
imagine
know what
this.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
But so you're gonna rise up super fast, because some freaking medium told everyone that that's the new and trendy. So if they Google it, you're gonna be there, and maybe you're gonna have an amazing year, man. You know, but you have to know that it comes and goes.
Yeah,
So
for
I
sure.
think the biggest mistake, not mistake, I think a lot of fucking wedding photographers see this only as a business. So they're gonna be chasing the trends. Okay. And that's okay, amazing. You're a responsible human being, man. Go fucking do you. um, and there are some other photographers who see weddings as a way of expression, as a personal project, that wanna attract a few couples here and there. So I think you have to choose, and sometimes you're gonna be lucky and it's gonna be trendier, and sometimes fuck no. So if you want to survive for 10, 15, 20 years, follow your shit and know it's gonna be ups and downs. And if you have been a good human being with all the industry, you're gonna have enough work. And I think that's the main thing. It's okay to not always be on top.
Yeah, definitely. But would you say like um because I feel like there was like conversation recently is I think in some English photography like group um where people were talking about the time that new photographers are giving themselves to rise up to the occasion. So they enter the industry and they want to be like on top of the game after 2 years, and they start educating others, and you know and want to be famous like right away. Um, it's like I don't know, if, as it feels like it's as if they see success being famous and
Okay.
being
Mm-hmm.
like like in vogue. Like, how do you how do you define success for you? Like, I mean, like for some people, like I feel like success is being allowed to do what I love and being
Mm.
paid for that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
being like success is like not having to be like in a 9 to 5 job and not having
Mm-hmm.
to follow other people's leads all the time and doing shit I don't care about. So how do you define success for you, and how did it change maybe over the last 15 years?
I've been lucky, man. I've truly been lucky that people still find something in my work that they say I want this guy and not these other five guys, man. You know. But for me, success is exactly as you were saying, man. Just like have a relaxed morning, have lunch with my kids every single day, even if we're fighting, man. Being a father of three, now there are between the ages of 10 and 16. It's fucked up, man.
Crazy.
It's the intense years, man. They're starting to get their own personalities, and now
Yeah,
it's
for
not
sure.
like, yeah, it's like so it's funky, man. But again, like being able to see how they are becoming human beings, man. Even between shouting, between the silence, uh I love that shit.
Yeah,
So having the freedom to be here and not having a 9 to 5, man, it's all I have ever dreamed of.
yeah. How would you let's go to the opposite end. Like, how do you is there like any sort of like insecurity or fear that you're having to deal with?
Every single time, man, since the first time I carry my baby girl, man, I was like, I'm fucked, man. Because it changed everything. Like now you have to say yes to other things. um at least in Mexico, the education, if you want to have a decent education, it has to be private.
Yeah, so
um
it's
uh,
expensive.
yes, and the healthcare, if you want to have a decent one,
Yeah,
it's private.
yeah.
So all this kind of shit, you have to think in advance. And as well, like, how many wedding photographers that have transcend 10 years and more, do you know that they still enjoy what they do? So I know it's a rare species. So I have learned a lot from a lot of people that I have learned in my career, about their mistakes, about the good things that they have done. So I'm always trying to be aware of everything, not only my point of view. My typical point of view, it's afraid. I'm unsecure as fuck, man. I'm always afraid of everything. Everything's gonna harm me. They're gonna fuck me. They want to steal from me. So I have to say, okay, my first instinct, it's never right, and that's
Yeah.
hard to do, man.
How do
Always,
you
man. I'm like, fuck me.
how do you deal with these like fears or anxieties? Like, I've been like after the pandemic, I've been dealing a lot with anxiety issues. Like, I was never like a really like anxious person, but after the pandemic or during the pandemic, I felt like I cannot go to any wedding because I'm gonna catch COVID and then I'm gonna die right away. Like, in my mind, I was like seeing myself in the intensive care unit and being like,
Hmm.
I'm gone, and I'm like, I can't do that. So
Yes.
I almost stopped shooting big weddings for like 2 years or maybe 3 years. And so my business really went down and got slow because I wasn't around anymore. And so it
Hmm.
was, I kind of lost touch to the industry, and I'm still like, I mean, it's like 5 years ago now, but I'm still recovering and trying to deal with like, I'm, I mean, I'm fine with going to weddings again and shooting, even though I caught COVID last year again during a wedding, and then I had to cancel the next one because I cannot shoot because I was fucking sick. And it
Hmm.
definitely bothers me because it's like there's like a financial pressure, like you just said, that you have with kids, because all of a sudden you have way more responsibilities. It's not like you anymore. Maybe you and your wife, you know. It's like not like, I mean, when I started shooting weddings, I was like a single living in a shared flat with a roommate, and like I was almost never home because I was traveling for shoot weddings all the time, so I didn't care. And now
Hmm.
it's like getting older, my time is way more precious to me, like, and all this anxiety pressure comes in. But how do you kind of cope with this, being like your own boss, having to make money, having to get your kids to grow up to be good humans, which I'm sure they are because you and your wife, you both are amazing. But how do you have any, I don't know, do you do meditation? Do you do yoga? Have you done therapy? Like, what's like your way of dealing and getting this so-called work-life balance, mental health?
Well,
thing.
first by knowing that there's no fucking balance, man. It's all in or nothing. Um, the other thing that I do, it's I read a lot. So most of the books that you see down there, it's creativity books. It's about how this fucking thing works or doesn't work. Really, it's a. I only have two tattoos, and this tattoo, it's about how the mind works. It's about how our reptilian brain fucks us in hard times, and then it just invade us. So I'm just reading about the things that I know I suck at. You know. And then after reading a book, I listen to the podcast and then read the audiobook or listen to the audiobook. So knowing your weak points, it's very important. So I know that my lack of confidence and my insecurities are the big boss in my life. So I have to find the opposites. I have to find my heroes in those departments, and then I have to trust them because I don't trust myself.
What do you mean by you don't trust yourself? Can you dig deeper here? Because I think I've never really heard you talk about that so much.
Well, it just as that. Like, imagine I receive an inquiry like, "Hey, Fair, I'm getting married tomorrow or next week." I'm gonna be like, "Fuck no, man. This is not gonna work." I in my all my body says like, "Say no." Uh, just like that, man. And it's weird, man. Like, why do I have to say no to something that I truly love? That's
Yeah,
that's insecurities.
yeah,
No,
sure. Any
so
any
that's
idea
it.
where this may be rooted in? Like how?
Ooh, yeah, man. Since I'm the middle kid, of three, I've always considered myself the not so intelligent one. You know.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Uh,
Isn't it like that
mhm.
both of your brothers have like some sort of, let's say, more standard career?
Yes. Yeah. So it comes from since the beginning of times, man. And I thought, oh, when I'm older, it's gonna pass away, and it's not like that, man. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I know there's an issue there, but again, I fight it by minimizing my instinct because accepting that your instinct sucks, it hurts. You know.
It
Um,
truly does. It truly does.
yeah,
I fully have to agree on that, because
yeah.
I think it's the hardest thing for us humans. Like I feel like for me, it's pretty easy to find like any, let's say, mistakes that other people make if they do the same as I do, but it's easier for me to spot them on them. And
Hmm.
then having to kind of like be true to myself and saying, "Oh fuck, you do the same." Like this is you're telling someone that they messed up because you recognize your own mistakes in them,
Hmm.
And then it's like for
That's it.
me, I like in 2007 my dad died, and we were by the time we were never like on the best relationship. Like I was like doing music, playing in bands, and he was always like, "Hey, why don't you learn something? Why don't you do like your apprenticeship?" And I was like, "I don't care. I don't know what I want to do. I want to play music." And he's like, "But all your friends in the band, they have jobs." I was like, "Yeah, I don't." Like I was like the black sheep, like the one who was like a failure. When he died, I was on tour with my band. The week before we left for the tour, he told me the first time in my life that he's proud of myself. And now it's like 2025. So he died in 27. So it's like 20 years ago, almost. And now I realize me making similar mistakes to what, from my perspective, he made, like about money, about decisions, about like dealing with stuff, like and it's so funny how much we take from like our childhood or our parents without even wanting it. Like we know we want to be different and we want to rebel against this shit and we don't want to be the same
Hmm.
people. But then like when we go up to like in the like in our 40s coming to our 50s or whatever, we realize, fuck, we are pretty similar to them, and we are the same fucked up person as they maybe were, because fucked up person roast like kind of helped us grow up to be the same person as they were. Like it's like a blind leading the blind, basically, and
But
everybody's just trying to do their best.
yeah, and the magic is like, at least on this generation we can acknowledge that, and we can talk about this, instead of like being like a fucking rock, and
Yeah,
and
so
never
like
accepting your mistakes. So yeah.
yeah, I think it's something that we really made better than our parents, because they were the generations who definitely, I think it should be the same in Mexico, I believe, as in Germany or in Europe overall, that it's not something you really talk about. You didn't talk about your problems. You didn't really talk about money. Like all these kind of things was just like, yeah, it's okay, I'm fine, because there was like this peer pressure kind of thing. I think you will see it way more than me, because I don't have kids and I'm not planning on having kids. But you got three, and one of them is like 16 now. It's the whole younger generation. They have so much more freedom when it comes to that, and I have the impression that at least they are allowed to be more open-minded on things, and to kind of like voice their opinion way more than we have, because they have so much more education on their hands with the internet and like connectivity throughout the globe, and learning from mistakes that we made much faster than we ever could.
Hmm. And being humble to learn from them, because back then it was the young learns from the old, and now, no, it has to be a mix.
Yeah, it has to, definitely. And I feel that um oh no, let me go back to the fear again, because you said that once you get an inquiry, you are completely like, whoa, why do they even ask me? Like, let's say for whatever reason, I don't know why, people booked you, you know,
Hmm.
like,
Hmm. Yeah.
and we both will be sitting there like, I have no clue why they booked me, but I'm gonna shoot their wedding today. So
Hmm.
how do you cope with this pressure on the wedding day itself, or is it not there anymore because you know what you're doing?
So usually I try to arrive as early as possible. That way, I reduce stress, because everything that's giving me anxiety, it's managing expectations. I don't know how they're gonna treat me. I don't know how the energy is gonna be. So again, my mind goes into drama. Everything's gonna suck, man. They're gonna treat me bad. They're not gonna feed me, man. They're gonna be angry, whatever, man. And it's rarely the case. They are happy to see you, man. Like, so again, I think we have to learn how to transform the darkness of our thoughts into light to other people, as photographers, like capturing how people feel, like what other profession has that, man? Like a fucking psychic, or something like that, or like a shrink, but that's gonna fuck you up. There's gonna be, and for us it's different. So, like, trying to honor that helps me reduce that shit. On the creative side, when you were talking about, yeah, Fer was the creative portrait guy. uh, I have tried to erase that tag from other photographers to me, because a few times have happened that I post a few pictures on social media, and I receive comments like, "Oh, this doesn't look like a photo of you,"
Yeah, I
like
know.
they are complaining about my style, and they're not booking me, man. It's just random people that put me again on a small box, like Fair represents this,
Yeah,
and 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 you
like they
have to be
put
able to punch that shit. Hmm.
yeah, like they put you in a box, and at the same time like some sort of like a podium, like, because they look
Hmm.
up to you, and then they feel like, what is that crap?
Hmm.
Because
Hmm.
I think for some time, like maybe 2 or 3 years, like people actually it was funny. People told me like, "Hey, you are like the German Fer Juaristi." I'm like, "No, I'm not. I'm just doing what I shoot, and there's some similarities in style because the influences are similar." But I
Hmm.
had the same thing that you had. Maybe not as often as you, because your following is bigger, and so more people are familiar with your work. But I remember I had like a comment on some photo, of a guy who was in one of my workshops, and he was like, I usually love your work, but this one doesn't really speak to me. It's so chaotic. It's not so clean. It's cluttered. And I'm like, did I ask you for your opinion? Like, no. Do I care? Maybe a bit, but I shouldn't. you know?
Uh-huh.
And it's kind of, there's like some sort of like a pressure of delivering, because people from the outside who are not your clients expect something from you because they put you in a position that you that you did not ask to be in.
Yeah,
You know?
but there's a there's a little bit of responsibility on our side, like
Yeah, sure.
by teaching workshops or by being in conventions. Once you are on a stage, people think that you have something to say, and it's a cage, and you have to accept that, man. You have to, okay, thank you, man. I see things like as musicians, if you have one album and it really hit hard on everyone, the next one, are you gonna do the fucking same shit, or you're gonna challenge your audience?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
for me, that part, the challenging, it's really beautiful, man. It keeps you on your toes, instead of repeating yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Especially with the analogy with music, because I played in band for such a long time. I can so relate to that, because everybody wants to listen to your most favorite song, but if you played it for 10 years plus, you are sick of it and you don't want to play it anymore, even though people will react to it the most. But you're like, oh no, can we not just do something else? Imagine to be like, I don't know, fucking John Bon Jovi, and you need to play Living on a Prayer since like 1984 or whenever that thing came out. It's crazy.
Yeah,
And
but
I
again,
also
you have to be grateful because it
of course,
allowed you to
of
open
course,
it. It's a
yeah,
challenge. It's always a challenge.
acknowledge the privilege that you have, that you are
Yes.
in this position, for sure.
Yeah.
I felt, for me, like, because I also I had a wedding last year where um it was actually the same wedding, where the bride asked me if I took already cool shots, like, and like before the first portrait session of the day. Like, they told me, like, we were working, like, normally I go to some place with them and then just walk around finding the right light or finding like something that inspires me. And I think you might do the same, like, uh, and we were walking around, and then they told me, like, hey, we saw this one image that you took last year of this couple in Copenhagen, where you had them standing like on a wall, but they had like some plants in front of their faces, so we couldn't really see them. It's like, yeah, but what about that? We loved that, so we are open to do something like that. And then my mind was like, it should have been like, awesome, I can do whatever I want because they are open to that. But instead it was like, fuck, they are expecting something extraordinary, and I'm here like, what do I do now? And I
Hmm.
felt like once I stopped sharing these so much on my socials, I maybe have less pressure on me to perform something like that all the time. Because I think,
Mm.
I don't know if it's the same for you, but I do not have ideas for that every wedding without repeating whatever I did before. Or sometimes you just
Hmm.
don't find the right light, the right location for that, or you just feel like it does not fit to this couple, you know?
Hmm.
So it's I think it's besides getting outside confirmation, it also has like this pressure you put on yourself to live up to this thing. Like a musician, like if you had this one hit song that everybody loved, everybody expects the next one to be equally good.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
I think it's something that's really tough, especially as a photographer who is not like a commercial photographer or like a fashion photographer who has influence on where you shoot and what you shoot, but you are kind of prone to, what environment am I allowed to shoot in today?
Hmm. Yeah, I think the trick is to not take your portfolio and your career too seriously. In the end, it's about building a team. Like, okay, so when I'm trying to offer my my wedding work. I use this software that I'm using right now, so I can show them different kinds of styles that I've shot, not other photographers. So I go from the more traditional for me to the more crazy, and I can see what they love, or what they feel more connected to. So that way, on their wedding day, I can follow or chase a vibe, and not exactly like architecture or the kind of light, but the vibe.
Yeah.
You know.
That's interesting. How do you approach that? Like, do you just show them photos and see where they connect the most? Or do
Yes,
you try to find out by talking to them and getting like to know them and maybe where they're interested in? Like if they are more like, let's say, if you find out that people are more into art or creativity, then you can push the boundaries a bit more. Or if it's photographers, you can push boundaries way more.
I prefer to be as direct as possible, man, because everything can be so subjective. So I show them like harsh light portraits, with a lot of shadows in their freaking faces, and then I show them backlight, and they say, "Oh, we prefer these ones." Okay, so I have a lead, or I show them like the minimalist approach or the more romantic. Oh, we prefer these ones. So I start to build stuff. Okay, minimalistic with romantic, or abstract with harsh light. So that way I can create for them.
Yeah.
But
How?
but it has to be very precise instead of just random.
Yeah. If you, let's say, you would you would be able to kind of curate your perfect wedding. Or let's say your perfect, not like in terms of you getting married yourself, but in terms of the perfect wedding you want to shoot. Like, what does the setting look like? Like, does it matter to you, or is it just like feeling the moment? Or or do you say like, I enjoy smaller weddings in nature, or I prefer big weddings in urban environments? Or what is it that like inspires you the most? Or is it like a general inspiration that comes from the people and the day itself?
I think if you ask me like that, it comes in my head like concrete. I love fucking concrete, man. It's I don't know. It's one of the most beautiful textures in the world. Um Abstraction and emotions, man. Those three things. If I can have all these three, I, I don't give a damn about the place or anything else. Just those three things makes my day.
But let's talk a bit about Patreon. And like I mentioned earlier, I feel there's so many people getting into education. So, and me doing it myself, and I know that my motivation is to inspire people, to show people that you can do stuff in a way that how you want to do it, and not like they believe they have to do it. Because like when I started, and I'm pretty sure it was the same when you started out in weddings, like the industry was completely different to what it is now. It was way more stiff. There was way more tradition inside of it. And I would have loved to have someone tell me, like, maybe 4 years earlier, you can do whatever you want and not follow what people expect you to be. Like, what's like your motivation behind Patreon? I believe it started out mostly like in the pandemic, right? So I guess it was a way of
No,
trying to make
before,
some.
man.
Okay,
It was
because
beforehand. Yeah, like it's been like 6 years now, I think.
crazy,
So
because I
yeah.
kind of got away of it, like, and I thought it was like a way of trying to make some money when all the weddings got cancelled and postponed during the pandemic.
No, so I don't remember the year exactly, but some years I have traveled a lot, like for weddings and workshops and conventions. So I started Patreon to try to travel less, and try to reach more people. So the first video I did for Patreon, I was in Poland with Magic. They organized a convention. It's called the Bordering Workshop. I remember.
Yeah, yeah, I know
So
that.
I took an extra day. He helped me. We found a good friend of him, and I just took a few portraits of him. So it was like instructional videos, just to how to shoot in a different way, and for me, Patreon has become a community as well. So now I have invited a lot of photographers to shoot with me because of Patreon. Or sometimes if people want to sell their shit, they can sell it there as well. But it's mainly okay. For me, education has been this. It's a way to don't give your style for granted. Like, so always keep pushing it. And for me, education is like that. Like, let's see what else can you do, and then connect with other people. And it's as simple as that.
Hmm. Okay, cool. So there's not like, because I feel like in the industry right now, it feels like people start education for wrong motivations. Like they want to be someone, or they pretend to know something that they don't. Like, and I'm like, of course, I can get inspired by people who are fresh in the industry because they have a completely new view on something. But then again, like thinking back, like I would have not allowed myself to even pretend to know something after 2 years in the industry. I remember like when we got asked to speak at the Rural back in 2017, I think it was. And when Roberto reached out to me, and I was like, he was the first person to ever ask if I want to teach if I want to speak at the workshop, and I was like, why do you want to invite me to Spain? Nobody knows who I am. Like,
Uh-huh.
and I was like, I remember like I was right before the talk, I was sitting on the toilet, and I was like, fuck, like
Hmm.
I was nervous as hell. And
Yeah, yeah,
but I realized that I seem to have a way of igniting something in people, like getting some sparks into people and telling them, like inspiring them in terms of like, hey, how can we do like something different than other people, or how can we tell stories more interesting on a wedding, or things like that. And so this is like my passion behind that.
yeah.
And I remember like telling people I don't want to be like the in Germany we have a saying, it's the Erklärbär. That's like the
Okay.
explanation bear.
Okay.
And in Germany it's funny because it just rhymes. But I'm like, I don't want to be like the guy explaining like exposures and f-stops and whatever. And
Hmm.
I'm also not like the marketing person, or at least not the business person. I can talk about marketing, but I cannot talk about the business side when it comes to financials because I suck at that. Like I think when it comes to financials, I'm like the same as when I was 16. I really, really suck hard at that.
Hmm.
So, but I feel like giving people an idea of how you do something, and not getting them to copy it, but to kind of take inspiration and maybe try out their own ways, or maybe even sometimes kind of relieving this sort of magic, like unveiling the magic of something, like if you like,
Hmm.
when you show them how the photo looked before you started editing it, and then then they're like, ooh, like I did not expect that, or like I did not expect it to be shot in this place, like these kind of
Hmm.
things. I feel like this is amazing. What I love, but also hate about your Patreon is I love how engaged you are with the community, and especially like the Hispanic community. But I
Hmm.
hate that I don't understand the word. Because before, like when you hosted the videos on YouTube, at least I could go for like an English translation. But with the Patreon
Hmm.
hosted ones, it only has like the Spanish ones. I was like, I don't
That's
understand
true.
the word. I could take captions, put them to ChatGPT and say, hey, what is he talking about? You know. So this is
No,
like,
I get it. Yeah. Well, like talking about education, I think, okay, I was one of those guys who I was photographing weddings for like 3 years, and then I started teaching, man. So I can relate to the hate that people can say from the outside. I know it.
I
It's
wouldn't I would
okay.
I wouldn't say it's hate. It's more like not really, maybe not understanding why they
Hmm.
feel like they have to do it. You know?
Yeah, but it's the same. It's supply and demand. Like I remember, like people were asking me, "Hey, how do you edit photos?" So again, if you can see it as an opportunity, even if you don't feel you're ready, and you can say, "Okay, I'm gonna do it once, and if it works, amazing. If it not, I stop doing it." You know, uh, because I have gone to a few workshops where the teachers are like 20 plus years old, and they treat everyone like shit, man. And when you are new, you learn together. Like, okay, these are my tips. What can you learn? What can you learn from the other guys as well? Um, I think nowadays, because of the influencer community, now people want to be more influencers first and then photographers. Um, but again, it's only a small bunch, but we think everyone thinks like that, and we see them more because they know how to do the network and the
Yeah,
marketing. But
also like I
you know,
mean the ones who shout the loudest are the ones that you see the most. It's like, and then of
correct,
course
yeah,
the algorithm game kind of gives them opportunities to, like, you see the videos, and even if you might hate it, but it shows you way more of them, because the algorithm feels like he watched that, he's got to be interested in that.
yeah. I'm
And
listening to this amazing street photography podcast, like in from Australia, and I know it's a very small podcast, but they're
mhm.
doing an amazing work.
what
So
what what what's the
the cool
name?
thing is like, let me tell you. Let me tell you. I have it around here. It's called. I'm new to it. It's the newest one I have connected. It's called Street Life.
Hmm. I'm gonna write that
Just
down
like
because
that. Yeah. It only
that
has
sounds interesting.
42 reviews. That's it, but they're doing an amazing job, man. So I'm like, fuck yeah, man. So I think it's our responsibility to see, okay, in the wedding industry, who's the marketing guy? Okay, who's the creative guy? Who's the street photography guy? And then, okay, and what else is there? Like I consume a lot of like cinematographers and illustrators. And I don't know if you have watched the new Max show. It's called Common Side Effects.
Nope.
It talks
We
about mushrooms,
mhm.
but it's an animation. It's an animated TV show. It's fucking amazing, man. So if I love something, then I try to find interviews with the creator and then their process. So it's not only about photography that we have to learn. It's about all the arts.
Yeah. It's like for me, like especially cinematography is. I mean, I'm bad with names, so I cannot recall names of people. But for me, like looking at movies and or TV series that have amazing visuals, I feel it's way more inspiring than any photography nowadays. Because
Correct.
it's not. I mean, of course, there's more life to it because there's a story, and they have more budget to create the visuals, and it's but it would be it's nice to get more ideas for, like, let's say, compositions, or like maybe color gradings, or whatever it is, coming from
Hmm.
movies than it is from other wedding photographers, because this is like this sort of echo chamber where everybody copies the other one, and then they all do the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
um
and about editing, I have done everything. I have started with actions from Photoshop, and then presets, and then the Visco, and then the red leaf, and then the choo choo, whatever, man. And
yeah,
down
all
now
of
with
all of that.
AI, it's beautiful to have all these tools to play around. But that's the word, we have to play around, learn the theory, and then experiment. So
Yeah.
that's the pure magic.
Yeah, I tried experimenting a lot, like, especially like when I do like some personal work with couples. I try to get more into like this sort of cinematic world more. So maybe going into more like artistic way, or like of treating colors, maybe not having it all true to life, in a scene right now where true to life and voguish and flash photography is like the vibe to go. I'm like, I don't care. Like I've been, I don't know, like at the moment, like for example, when I crop my photos, I either crop them like 16:9, or I crop them 4:5, or even like a more cinematic ratio. So it's either like this
Yeah,
Instagram kind of thing, because I found on my new website, like if I crop two portrait photos 4:5, they fit better next to each other than on a standard ratio. But I just love 16:9, or like, what is
nice.
it, like 2.3.5 to 1, like this whole, like, more to give it more like a cinema vibe. And
Yes,
I feel
and you can
that,
even go square as well. On the Sonys, you can do the how to say the crop or the visualization in square mode as
yeah, I
well.
know.
I love that kind of shit. Yeah.
I switched to Nikon last year, and I had to
Hmm.
realize that with the Sony it's different. With the Sony you have the preview in Square, but you still have the full RAW file. With the
Hmm.
Nikon, I shot 16 by 9. I did not realize that it crops in
Just like
camera.
that.
Even the RAW,
Wow.
it's just
Okay.
16 by 9 left. I was like, fuck, I have this whole wedding that's just 16 by 9 now.
Nice.
But luckily, it has like 45 megapixels, so I can still go back to like a 3 by 2 if people want like the traditional. But at first, it was like a rude awakening, knowing like, whoa, I did not know that. But yeah, I think
Maybe
it's more.
you can try the anamorphic lenses, with autofocus. Now they're doing anamorphic
Yeah,
and
I
it's
would love.
yeah.
I was
Hmm.
looking for. I think I talked to Magic about anamorphic lenses like years ago for the first time when he tried it out for the first time. But um, still so expensive back in the day. Um, like I think it was like 2 or 3 grand for just one lens. I was like, I'm
No,
not
they're
paying that.
not
Just
anymore, man.
okay, cool. I need to look
I'll
into
send you
that
the
because
link. Yeah.
it would be amazing. Because what I feel like oftentimes when I see in wedding photography, it kind of more like a safe game because like you would stay to your color grade throughout the whole like day, and because we were told to have it cohesive. But then I feel like if I watch a movie and they switch between colors and gradings, it's still cohesive because like the contrasts are the same still. So it doesn't matter if the like skin tones are all on point for me. Like I can have warm skin tones, and the next scene can have like cold skin tones. Then again, of course, it makes the AI a bit less useful for me because I can only have like a basic starting point, and then I have to go for my color gradings because the way AI learns, it doesn't understand what color grade I want on which photo. But I feel like I want to play way more with that to give more to try to give more of an emotion to something.
Had like a series of cyclists, no? A few years ago, you have a few photos like that, and they're fucking amazing, man. Yeah.
Yeah, that was not like a few years ago. Like I don't know which ones you're referring to because in like in 2012 I released a book full of portraits of cyclists. But also I shoot lots of cycling because me and my wife we do this content creation for
Nice.
cycling brands as well. So we started riding our bikes most of the time during the pandemic, where we did it together. Like I was riding my bike all the time, and but now like during the pandemic we started riding into the woods. So basically to just get my mind back on track, like to be like
Nice.
free from stress and just like getting away from people. Because of that, I always bought my camera because I wasn't shooting weddings by the time, so I wanted to shoot something, so I started shooting our bicycle or cycling trips, and then we started working with brands. So it's nice because it kind of leaves me like my passion open. Like I'm shooting something I care about, like going out, shooting nature, shooting my wife on the bike, shooting like what we see. So I think it's like you do when you bring your camera and you shoot like your family life and you shoot your kids.
Hmm.
We're like trying to play more with something that's just a job otherwise.
Yeah, that's
And
it. Yeah, that
because
has
I
to
was
be like a must.
yeah, and I feel it's important as well to not just like I mean I started my photography business because it was a passion of mine, and back in the day like I was coming back from a burnout as in graphics, so I was really like I wasn't in a good spot in my life. Like after like I quit my advertising jobs and I worked in sales for like a few years. Traveled to Central America. When I came back, like after 2 months of traveling around Costa Rica and Panama, I came back home, went back to my job and like in sales, and I hated it. And I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I can't stand it. Like like in the morning, I couldn't like get up. So I spoke to a doctor, and they told me, hey, this might be some sort of burnout carryover from your advertising, like because you were doing extra hours all the time. And so, and after that, like I had to find like something else I want to do. So I was shooting concerts by the time, but of course, you couldn't make money out of concerts. I got asked actually for my first wedding by the best man of a couple whose groom was a guitarist in the band I shot before on stage. And so they asked me if I want to shoot their wedding, and I hated weddings. I never wanted to be married myself. I never wanted to be anywhere close to weddings because it was like pure tradition, something I despised, something I hated, something I was like I don't want to do that. I ended up doing it, and I didn't love it yet, but I thought like, yeah, maybe let's give it a try. So I shot like another one, also like from like a more like let's say subcultural background, not the traditional wedding again. And then like I kind of understood that I need to find a new job and I need to do something, but I didn't want to do something that may end up me losing my passion for something just because it becomes like my 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
so this is why I always try to do something in the way I want to do it. This is why I shoot the way. This is why I market myself the way I do, because I don't want to appeal to mainstream. I don't want to appeal to people I don't want to spend my life with. I don't want it to do it just for the money, because if I do it just for the money, then I lose my passion for it.
Mm-hmm. It has to be challenging and keep it fresh, you know. So
Yeah,
that's the magic of having an eternal job or profession or something to enjoy it.
it also like I shoot some commercial work still aside, like let's say like 10%, like some cycling as well. I feel like it's nice to work on that because it's fun, but it's kind of purposeless because it just let's say or not, it doesn't have a purpose. I kind of find meaningful. It's just about selling shit. So for me, coming from this whole punk rock anti-capitalistic background, it doesn't really fulfill me.
Yeah, like talking about brands and photography. There's this guy who takes skateboard photos. His name is French Fred. Check him out. He's like a Leica ambassador, but he takes photography, skate photography in a fucking amazing way, man. So I think there are a few people who are able to do that, to make it art into commerce or vice versa.
Wait,
So
is
I'm
that
always trying to find those guys.
this guy?
That's the
Is it?
guy, man. Fuck it, man. Yeah,
It's
it's French. Yeah,
Fred Mortagne. Yeah, it's on the book. It
that's
says
it, man.
Fred Mortagne.
Yeah, his Instagram handle it's French Fred.
Ah, okay,
That's the
because
fucking guy, man.
yeah, I
Yeah,
got this book like a few years ago, and it's amazing. I
nah,
mean,
that's it, man. So I think he can be our example, man, our lighting guide, man. You know, and trying to find people like that. That's always genius, man. No, no.
he shoots like all this like surfing kind of things, but also like really like in the weird color gradings. You would love it. I'm gonna send you a link later because
Yeah,
um
please.
I feel that it's like basically like where this French Fred is doing all black and white. Zeb
Mm-hmm.
Sanella is like he's doing like some images are just blue, some other just red, and it's very graphical all the time. So it's really
Nice.
minimalist. It's really grainy. I think it's amazing.
Mm.
I would love to shoot something that way for weddings, but I don't dare myself to do it because because I feel like it's too far off. I took part in Jennifer Mowa's film club workshop because I found this whole topic of inspiration for movies very interesting. I remember she like in one like in the community she asked like if there was one movie like you could kind of get the vibe on your wedding edit. Which movie was it? And I was like, for me, it's David Fincher. Like, I love the movie Seven and these kind of things. And I was like, but who wants to have their wedding looking like Seven? You know, you know, it would be
You
amazing.
never
But
know, man. You never know. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, if somebody wants that, I'm all in. But it's I think it's crazy. Um, but I wanna shift into something that's not just work because we already talked like an hour, but just or more than an hour already. But I wanna because I know you're also like a really big family guy. Not the cartoon person. So so and I feel like you're talking about legacy on your website for quite some time. I mean, most wedding photographers do it because we all talk about trying to appeal to people's like memories and getting legacy. But where do you see like your legacy But let's see. Picture yourself when you're like 80 and you're sitting on the beach and you're thinking about your life and your work. Like if there would be like one thing that you would ask people or you would wish people to feel when they look at your work, like your body of work from the days, from your whole life, what would it be?
I think that's up to them, man. You know, like um, truly, I'm not into like the big questions in life. Uh, I just try to keep smiling every day,
Okay.
and forgetting about what's it gonna be, because I don't think that it's gonna be as important as we think
Hmm.
it's gonna. You know,
Yeah.
so I think that's the honest truth. You know,
Okay.
like
Let me
it,
kind of take another twist here, because maybe you can relate to the other one more, because it's I kind of wanted not to be about the client so much. What if you let's say your daughter is looking at the photos later,
mhm.
let's say like 20, 30 years from now, what do you think she will see in it?
Hopefully, that we try to create this magical environment for them. You know, that they were able to be free, that they were able to make mistakes uh, without being ashamed if they fail. I think that's as simple as that, man. You know, to learn how not to be that hard in life, that we have a life to fuck up, and then the will to rise up again. That's all I can hope for.
Hmm. I think it's something that's really achievable. Like in the way, like I mean, we haven't seen each other in person for years, but I had this privilege of seeing you with your kids at least for like 2 days or 3 days in Spain back like almost like 10 years ago. And what I saw was like it was chaos. It was messy, but it was really honest and humble. And I feel that if it stays this way, I'm pretty sure it is, because I see like I think we spoke last time like 5 years ago, maybe in person, and I, I kind of feel like the personality of you did not change so much, at least not in a bad way. So I think the like the basic foundation for them is
Mhm.
definitely there.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Like you can only hope for the best, you know, and I think that's the hardest thing. Like it's not all up to you. Uh, as a parent, you're not as important as you think, and
Definitely not. Yeah.
and that's that's it. And that's the thing that's the hardest.
Yeah. I think it's not just as a parent, it's as a human being overall. I feel like we, especially in the social media days, everybody's taking themselves a bit too seriously, a bit too important. I remember I was talking to someone and they were like, I think we were sitting on an airport, and they saw someone famous. I don't know, someone I did not know, but they said this was someone famous, and I'm like, I don't know, I don't care. Like, I'm lucky that I got basically socialized in this whole subculture where I was, where there was like no stars, like no people to look up to, because it was all about privilege. And like you could be on the stage the next day, the people were on 2 days that you looked up to, because it was just about like starting a band and just being asked to play.
Hmm.
And I always feel like there's this misconception of people who are in public. They are more famous than other people, but they are not being more important than anybody else. Like, I could be sitting on an airport and maybe next to me there's some actor I know or some sports athlete I know. But on the other side, there could be like, I don't know, like a surgeon who just saved 7 lives this morning. And I would have no idea who he
Hmm.
was. But from a standpoint of importance to society, maybe his job is definitely more worth or more valid than like an actor or like a sports guy, which
Yeah.
is just not talking down on entertainment, but it's different. And I feel like oftentimes humans, we kind of forget that like in the foundation, we're all the same. And we can like we can talk about everything with everybody. Like,
Mm.
like you can end up on an airplane next to a CEO of some company, and you might talk about movies, and
Mm-hmm.
this is
Correct.
what I love. Like, this is what I love about weddings as well, because you talk to people who most of the time you will never meet in real life. Maybe like elderly people, or people from other countries, or people from other walks of life that you may not have a connection to because of what you do. But then you end up talking for, like, let's say 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and you realize we're all the same. And I think this is something really, really fantastic about weddings, that oftentimes gets lost, that we have the privilege of being surrounded by people who are all there because of their love for someone else's, and we are there to document, and not to have it like a, I don't know, like a fashion shoot or something.
Yeah, I think every year we have to make this question, like, am I still enjoying this? And if the answer is no, have the balls to change to a
Yeah.
different lane.
Did
You
did
know,
you did, did you ever come to a point of where you were second guessing if you were still in it?
I've always second guessed myself. That's the
Okay,
whole
yeah,
thing
of
about
course,
my life, man.
of course, because no, but I mean, like, let's say a day, like, I don't know, maybe the pandemic, because it was like this big change for people and not being able to travel, or like, I don't know, anything that where you feel like, am I still feeling this? You know?
Yeah, I think, I don't know if it's a Mexican thing, or like a guy thing, that uh, a lot of our identity comes from our work,
Yeah. It's
because it's something
it's
that we love. No,
yeah, it's not just Mexican, because it's the same for me, and I'm
uh,
definitely, and I'm not Mexican. So, but
yeah,
yeah, I think
I can see that. I can see
I was I
that.
was I was I was I was thinking that maybe it's not a guy thing, maybe not Mexican, maybe it's because you mentioned this insecurity a few times. Maybe it's this. Maybe this is something behind it, that we kind of, that there's some sort of insecurity, and we kind of feed our ego in some way of other people recognizing what we do,
Mm,
because we might
yeah.
have felt overlooked, maybe in our childhood, or in our youth, or whatever that is.
You know what really struck me a few months ago. I had a wedding in Mexico City, and then we had like a breakfast or a brunch with a few other photographers and videographers, and I quiet myself and I started listening to everyone, and I was like, we're such a spoiled fucking brats,
Yeah.
as wedding photographers. So yeah, we have to be extremely humble. Like, we're being paid to document happiness, man. Like, fuck that shit, man. And then it's so easy to brag about, yeah, I shot this wedding, or I went to this place, and just shut the fuck up, man. Like, do the job, be humble to know where you suck at, then try to learn that part and slowly become better at that, and at that, and be humble to share your experiences, so the other community of photographers that it's coming, and it's coming stronger, can have a better path that you had, and that's it, you know. And sometimes, yeah, we're not that as important as we think we are, but we are lucky that we photograph, and we enjoy what we do, you know. I think,
Definitely, definitely.
yeah, I think that's our life, man. It's if we put a few painters here and they start talking about the purity of color blue, fuck that shit, man. It's just keep painting, man. Just keep painting, and make me feel. So yeah, the craft is beautiful, but it's so easy to get lost in the craft.
Yeah. I think this was it was a great finishing, because like whatever topic I would steer to next would not do justice to the beauty of the words you just said about
I don't
its.
want to be rude. It's not about,
No, no,
but
no, 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 no,
it's
no. It's
no.
it's just like, I tend to be over talkative, so I'm like finding new topics time and time again. But I feel like what you just said is something that really relates to a lot of people, or should relate to people, about not taking things for granted, not taking ourselves so seriously, and just keep enjoying what we do, like without forcing something. You
Yeah,
know?
and I think that's the hardest part. Okay, to see your body of work and say, okay, what are my mistakes? How can I get my work to another level? Like because we commit, or we make the same mistake on every wedding. Every time we grab the camera, we are like, oh fuck, I forgot this, or I supposed to be here instead of there, or like half stop under or over, whatever. Like I think if we focus into uh, keep ourselves amazed, and have the balls, as you were saying. If I go to your website, I can really understand your vision, as a human and as a creator, not only as the guy who takes weddings. uh, and I see that's one of the biggest mistakes. Not everyone has the balls to shout who they are.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like you don't have to shout who you are. I think you just have to understand like what your motivation is, or who you are as a person. Like, I mean, I wanted to close the conversation, but this is a good point actually, because back in 2017, I taught a workshop in Denmark where on purpose we had people booked into like one like vacation house, and we had like 10 or 12 photographers, two people leading the workshop, a model couple, and a person cooking for us, and we were all sharing the same house. So we had people sharing like bunk beds, and everything was really close. There were people sharing like a bunk bed who never met each other before. And just on the first night, where everybody basically arrived, we were talking about, hey, what did bring us here? What's the motivation? Like, kind of flaws do we see in our work? And it was, in the end, it was like a 3-day, and we did twice in a row. Like, so it was like two groups, each 3 days. And it was like 6 days of pure crying, and more like psychological class, because everybody was talking about like, where do I see myself fail? Why
Mhm.
do I shoot? Like, what do I care about? And I told them, it's like, this is like way more important to realize than to learn how to shoot in backlight.
Mhm.
It's way more important to understand, like, why do you shoot, and what
Mhm.
kind of things interest you, and for what reason do they interest you? Like, or do you care? Why do you care about some stuff that other people don't? Or why do you not care about stuff that other people keep really valuable? Like, for example,
Mhm.
I never shoot details on wedding
Mhm.
days. I know that people have this rule, like, I have to shoot whatever people paid for has to be on the photo. I'm like, no, I don't. I
Mhm.
don't shoot the dress hanging somewhere. I feel it looks better when someone's wearing it. I don't have to take a
Mhm.
photo of the rings and ask them, hey, can I have your rings, because I want to take a photo of them. Like, why? They're wearing these rings every day. So I don't see,
Mhm.
or like, my storytelling, most of the time it's not shooting the food. It's most of the time I'm shooting a photo of like an empty plate with some leftovers.
Mhm.
Basically, for me, the story is way better told in this way. It's messy, and it's like,
Mhm.
it tasted good, so people ate it. It doesn't matter so
Mhm.
much anymore what it was, unless maybe my couple is like, maybe like really, let's say, food affinity. Like, then it makes sense to shoot the food because I want to remember what they had. But most of the time, I don't care. I don't really know why that is, but I care way more about what connects the people, or what happens.
Mhm.
about quiet moments. And I feel like when I spend time shooting details, maybe that's the reason. When I spend time shooting details, I'm missing out on other stuff. Because I'm like, while I'm like eagerly preparing like a detailed, like let's say like top-down shot of rings and socks and perfume, someone else may be hugging and crying behind me, and I'm missing it because I'm trying to stage this shit. And so for me, that doesn't matter. But the funny thing was on the workshops that we had people who looked up to other photographers and then loved their work. And I was like, well, you are an amazing photographer yourself. Like, we had one of my best friends nowadays. We met on this workshop. And she was like a trained photographer. So way more than me. Like, I learned it myself. She was trained for that. And she told me, well, all of us, that she's shooting weddings by the time for like 8 years. And before every wedding, she starts puking because she's so stressed out. And I'm like, why do you do that? And she's still like doubting her own skills now. Like, she was actually the one who shot my wedding, or like our elopement. And I love her work like from the bottom of my heart, but she's not seeing the value about herself in a way that I see it. And we just spoke about like 2 weeks ago. She came back from way up north in Berlin, and she spoke about the presenter who was there. And she's like, "Ooh, there was this presenter, and she was like so cool and so shiny and so strong. I could never be that." I was like, "Why do you want to be that? This is not
You don't have to be.
Yeah, and you don't have to be that. Like, you don't, like, I don't know. Like, you cannot be someone you are not. I remember this, and you're gonna find it funny because it involves you in a way that you don't know it yet. I shot a wedding a few years ago already, and the couple told me that they were guests on another wedding, and the wedding photographer did something that they found really off. Like, you should never do that. And I was like, "What did he do?" And she was like, "Yeah, during the group shots, he was taking a group shot of the bride and her female friends, and he was asking them to look at his penis." And I'm like, I know where he got this from, and because I remember that. I think you there was like a video or something of you where you told about that. You jokingly said to someone, "Hey, look at my penis," to make people laugh. But I'm like, yeah, there's this friend of mine from Mexico. He's like not big. He's like a fun dude. He's like laughing all the time. He's swearing a lot. It's just fun to be around. And if he does that, you will, and you booked him for that, you will understand why he says that. But if you like a cringy German photographer that nobody knows before, and you are standing in front of 6 women, maybe you should not say, "Look at my penis," to make it not really weird. And so this was like where I felt like, yeah, someone did definitely not understand that he cannot be you.
Yeah. No, like, okay, I think we have to learn to have a critical thinking, like,
Yeah.
Every input that we have, like creatively, inspirational, or even like the news, like you have to be able to see, like, okay, is it true? Does it fit my style? Do I have to change it? Don't take things literal, and that will suck, like the big time, man. So shit, man, we want how to say answers, like a baby, like, open your mouth, here comes the I don't know, the high-end pill, and here goes the creativity pill.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that, man. It doesn't work like that. It's
I feel
trial
that,
and error.
I feel that people oftentimes kind of misunderstand inspiration from just stealing or just imitating.
Mm-hmm.
Like, honestly, there was a time when sometimes I woke up like the morning on the wedding day, and I gotta be fully honest, I looked at one of your slideshows because I wanted to get something else in my mind than my usual way of seeing, and to get inspiration from something I know I cannot shoot myself because I'm not seeing the world this way. But it also kind of opened my mind for something, to seeing something differently, and then making what I do, making something out of it in my way, just because I know I cannot shoot like you because I don't see the world like you do. But I think it kind of helps to free your mind instead of looking at the same thing over and over that you do, or what the general photography industry is doing, but still be in the same subject, because it's for the mind, it's easier to digest than looking at something off topic. Let's say some fashiony shoots, or like, I don't know. Sometimes I looked at raw photography because I love the composition side of it. But then again, you would have people who would go to like a couple and they had like photos of, like, maybe from my portfolio, your portfolio, someone else's portfolio on their iPhone, and showing it to the couple. This is what I want to do. This is what you have to do, you know? And then they're trying to copy
Yeah.
something. And I remember that there was a photographer from Munich, and they told me, hey, I just found this website. Look at this. It looks like someone's trying to copy you, but you can see right away that they cannot make it, because they tried hard, but they failed massively. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, crazy. I looked at that. I was like, yeah, I see what you mean. Like, I see similar compositions, but it doesn't work for them, because you could see that the couple was not feeling it. So it looked fake, because it just didn't fit to what they were shooting. Like, composition was there and colors were there, but it didn't feel right, you know? And I think this is something that people oftentimes kind of don't get right. Like, they don't shoot from their heart. They shoot from the mind, and they shoot like what they feel they have to shoot instead of what they want to shoot.
Yeah,
You know,
and
and
it's a path. It's a path, like to find and to get to your kind of photography. It's gonna take a lot of years, and it's gonna be trial and error. And some photos are gonna be amazing, and 2 seconds later you're gonna suck big time. So
all the
so
time.
that's the thing. Like it's not an exact science, photography, but we have to be able to be always analyzing. Like, I love this photo. Okay, what I love about this photo, and how can I make it a bit better, or how can I make it more personal? Or if I was in the shoes of this photographer, what will I make? Maybe I will take it vertical instead of horizontal per se, or a wider line lens instead of. But don't just consume it and just say, "Oh, this is gorgeous." Always ask, "What else? What is missing? What will be my approach into the same situation?"
Yeah. Also, like, I feel like it helps a lot when you look at a photo, and you kind of not just look at it and see like, I like it, but it's more like analyzing, like, what is it that I like about it? Is it like the way the light is being used? Is it composition, or is it just what this photo makes me feel inside? And I think oftentimes it's that, like, it kind of evokes something in you, and it's like sometimes we don't even know what it is, because we don't dare to ask. We don't dig deeper, because we are, like, in social media age, we consume so much in so little time. This is why I love having like albums for my couples, because they took way more time looking at photos, because it's not just like swiping. It's not like Tinder. Like, I don't like this one. I don't like this one. I don't like this
Mm-hmm.
one. And I feel that this is also why, as photographers, it's so important to get like your work printed for people, and to really give them a good curation of what you saw on their day, to make them feel with every frame, and not having them scroll past something, because I feel like the moment they start scrolling faster, you kind of lose them, because the photos might get too repetitive throughout the day, like, because maybe you're giving them like 10 variations of the same situation, and then they're like, yeah, I've seen that, and then they don't look any further, you know?
Yeah, like I have tried since last year, like for slideshows, to do like more than one photo on the page. Like, so if you're like on full screen, there's 2 photos, maybe 3 photos,
Yeah, I do the
and a
same, but I can't.
slower pace. Yeah.
Yeah, I do the same, but I'm not sure if I like it. I started
Okay.
doing it because I had too many photos I liked, and the
Mm-hmm.
music I used was not long enough, and I didn't want to have multiple songs on a slideshow.
Okay.
And so this was my
Yeah.
reason for that. But at the same time, it kind of, I mean, you could say they might watch it over and over because they didn't see all of it the first time. But then again, it kind of loses attention per photo. I think that's what I like about your website, for example, that on your blog you give people the option to either have it like as a typical post where you just scroll down, or you have
Yeah.
this photo by photo thing where you pay way more attention to the photo itself because you cannot scroll past so much,
I
and so
haven't updated my blog in a long fucking time, and so
yeah,
that's my homework.
I realized that this morning when I when I started looking up what you
Yeah.
recently did. But yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like I don't know, because if I mean, because of my education, I look at many photographers' websites and they all look kind of similar. And also the way that they lay out photos is the same because it's all chronological. And so you start scrolling and I'm seeing like, if I was a couple looking for a photographer and, looking at like, let's say 5, 6 photographers, you should get kind of tired because it's all the same. Every wedding starts with the same photos, and then you kind of get bored by that. And I just recorded a podcast with the guys from Scotland, Cinemat, who do this perspective podcast. I don't know, maybe you've talked to the guys, like 2 filmmakers from Scotland. You're pretty
Oh
sure.
yeah, a long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically they came across my work because they had Anna from Mexico on the podcast, and she was talking about their wedding photographer for like 5 minutes straight. So the guys asked like, who was your wedding photographer? And they were like, yeah, this guy from Germany. And so they invited me to be a guest in their podcast, and we just recorded last week. I don't know when it's going to come out, but I was
Beautiful.
talking to them about how much I admired videographers for many years because of their more open approach to showing the wedding, because they can mix audio and visual from like several moments of the day, and it's way easier connectable than for us as with
Mm,
photography, because if we just randomly throw photos on the website, it doesn't make sense to people, and we kind of lose them again.
mm. Yeah.
And so I would love to be more, let's say, storytelling in a cinematic way instead of just chronological. But then again, it takes so much time to come up with that I feel like maybe I'm just wasting time to come up with something that nobody looks at or nobody understands.
Mm. Well, yeah, it's a different language. I don't know if you remember a website called Media Storm. They're not wedding related, but they did like slideshows with like audio and then a little bit of video. It was powerful, man. So maybe it's the in between of photography and filmmaking.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's interesting. Um, can I ask one more question?
Hmm.
When it comes to like how important is storytelling for you in a documentary? Let's say over the course of the day, do you feel like it's about the full view of all photos together, or do you care more about like that one photo itself tells a story on its own, or do you feel like both of it, or what's like your approach to that?
Well, it depends. Like I know photographers who they shoot for the album, so that way they're gonna be a complementary images. Uh, that's easier because you can photograph action, click, reaction, click, and then put them together. If you're lazy, you're gonna do it like that, or if you don't feel inspired. uh, and then there's the newspaper approach that one photo has to tell everything. Like thinking about like a art gallery or a museum, that one is enough to tell the entire story. I try to do both. Like some days I'm very brave and I wait for that photo, and some I feel a little bit dispersed. So I shoot action reaction independently. So yeah, like when I took the foundation or the fearless workshop, everything the F8, that's the documentary approach. But it's not for everyone, and there's a risk that you can fail. So I think you have to do both just in case. Sorry, my dog.
No worries. I'm really, actually I'm pretty surprised that our cat didn't show up yet.
Yeah.
Because normally when I'm talking to someone on the call, she's always like jumping on the table and having her behind showing to the camera.
Oh.
It's
Well,
uh
yeah,
it's
a
not
few years ago, yeah, I was doing the only one photo, and now I have relaxed and I have tried to do a little bit of everything.
yeah. Is there like, do you see, like, this is gonna be my last question regarding work. Do you see, because like for me, for example, I see like a recurring mood atmosphere in my photos that is more like melancholic and
Okay.
quiet at many times. Do you have anything like that for you? Like, would you say like what makes a Fer Juaristi photo a Fer Juaristi photo?
Uh, I think nowadays I'm in my infant years. So what it means with this, I want my couples to feel very childish, like full of joy of being alive. A few years ago I was in my melancholic or in my nostalgic years, and now I'm more playful, but it's seasonal, I think. It's seasonal, and you have to be able to say I want to do a little bit of everything. Like a rock star can make a ballad and can make a fucking hardcore fuck the universe song,
Yeah, yeah,
so I have tried to make my cage or my box a little bit bigger than it used to be.
yeah. I mean, there's like this sort of onion theory that we have so many layers to peel off
Hmm.
throughout our lives, and we should maybe. I mean, I still see lots of, let's say, similarities to myself when I was like in my teenage years, like by the music I listened to, the things I enjoy, because these things mattered more to me maybe than some things now, because I grew up on these. So the memories are stronger because they're connected to something that was new by the time, not like now where you feel like, I don't know. Yesterday I saw like a trailer that they kind of remake this movie, I Know What You Did Last Summer, and I was like, why the fuck are they remaking this movie? It's just like, it's from the 90s. It's not like it's it's not like, why don't they just show the old one again? It's the same movie basically.
Uh-huh.
And then again, it's like, I don't know. Then again, it's about progression and understanding, like maybe leaving things behind, because I feel like everything has a certain time and place in life, and you don't have to hold on to something if you just don't feel it anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
And the same goes with art. I mean, if you don't evolve, or let's say question what you do, you might be stagnating, and it's not something you want.
Yes, dude. Like, for example, now I have discovered new music through my kids. You know, and back then I was telling them, oh, you know who Led Zeppelin is,
Yeah.
and now it's like, okay, I know the past has this phenomena that it's very romantic, and we think that shit was better than now, but we cannot be that kind of person, man. There's amazing music, amazing photography, amazing art happening right now. Don't be that asshole, because that means that we're getting older, but it's, again, new music, amazing. The magic is that now we can learn the process with all these podcasts, with all these YouTube channels that tell you how the inspiration. I love that shit. Back then we had to use our imagination, like how did they make this sound for the drums, how did they record it, and now we can know it.
Yeah.
It's a challenge, and I love that, discovering new music. Like, till this day I play like my playlist in random order, because I want to still be amazed about new music, and again, the scenes of new music, of indie music, of punk music are still there, man. But we have to allow ourselves to still discover them and be amazed by them. And when we find something that we love, promote it. And that's the magic of community now.
Yeah, I feel this is like why I chose to name the podcast the way it's named. Like, I wanna have something that makes me feel something.
Hmm.
Like, I don't want to be like sitting. I don't want to see myself being at one point where I don't feel like I'm being touched by something anymore. Like, it could be
Hmm.
movie, could be music, whatever it is. Like, um, I remember I've been like Jan and I, we've been to a concert of a friend of mine, like a German singer songwriter a few weeks ago, and he played his new album, and on the record it didn't touch me so much like the older
Hmm.
ones. Um, but live, like, there was a moment where I felt like, yeah, this is it, because he kind of managed to grow, or to create this mood or atmosphere at the concert where, like, everybody was singing with him, and he spoke about how powerful music is, that in a world that basically takes 2 or 3 steps back to, like, I don't know, 1950s racism and everybody against everybody kind of mindset. Music still has the power to connect people, and we all,
Hmm.
like, gather in a room listening to the same music, and we kind of feel the same thing in the same moment. And I think this is so valuable. And the same can be with like TV series, or like movies, or in our art, photography. Like, you can show something to
Yeah.
people, and it kind of, it makes them feel something, no matter what it is. And
Yeah,
I feel
and
this
it
is
takes
this,
an effort, no?
yeah.
Like to consume something new, it takes an effort because, oh, I know the other one, so let's go back to the other ones and then listen to the new music, and then watch a new TV show, or like consume different art, or like grabbing a book and staying more than 1 minute per image instead of 1 second per scrolling. No, it's an effort, but we have to keep doing it
Yeah.
to keep growing.
How do you keep yourself open to that? Is that because of your kids? Does it help? Because they will come up with, because I would think, because they definitely will come up with music, or TV shows or
Hmm.
movies that you will not be interested in, from your own perspective right away.
Hmm. Well, I always try to find my kids with music, my oldest especially, but like my middle guy, he loves musicals, man.
Mhm.
And I remember hating that shit,
Yeah.
man. Like
I,
if
I,
there
al-
was
I
a
always say
TV.
musicals is too
Huh?
much of singing.
Uh-huh. But then, do you remember Beetlejuice, the movie from
Yeah,
the
sure.
80s?
Yeah.
They did a musical, man. And it's fucking fun as hell, man. So we were able to see it live.
Oh, cool.
Uh, but this time, a musical with it's like rock talking about like sex and drugs and shit like that, and being dead. So it's not like in the movie. It's more extreme. Uh, and I love that shit. Like, there's one guy who's in Stranger Things. One of the kids, he has a musical project. So if it was me, I will be like, no, it's the actor from that shit. His music will suck. But then I was patient, and I saw him live like 2 weeks ago, and it was fucking amazing, man.
Yeah. But
No,
what
so
what
it's
what
this
what
thing.
what do you
Mhm.
mean by active from this shit? Don't tell me you did not enjoy Stranger Things.
Dude, like
No.
Stranger Things for, dude, for, it again. It keeps you wondering. If it's Stranger Things, if it's ET, if it's The Goonies, like the capacity of wonder. I think that, like, the essence of wonder, it's what really moves me.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can criticize anything, everything, whatever, but being able to not be cynical as an adult, we have to be able to keep open. Like, we just watched the movie Sinners. I don't know if you have watched it.
Not yet.
It's
No.
it's beautiful, man. It's hardcore, but it's powerful shit, man. It talks about blues and the roots of blues with fucking vampires, man. With fucking
Okay.
vampires. But it's really good, and it has a scene like a long one shot that it transcends from the African music to the blues, then to the rock, all in one scene. That was just magic, man. So
Cool.
that's the shit. I only need 5 minutes of 1 hour of wonder.
Yeah, I'm gonna add this to my playlist. Like I never was so much into vampire stuff, but actually the last movie I watched that I didn't knew before was the remake of Nosferatu, the one that came out last year, and it was. I think
Yes.
it was beautiful, just by the way the
Oh yeah.
scenery was, and by I don't know, have you seen it?
Yes, it's the Ari Arister. Yeah, there's two directors, American directors, doing amazing horror shit, man.
Yeah,
It's beautiful. Yeah.
it's really cool, and it's definitely so Sinners will definitely be on my list. Last question, because you just said 5 minutes of wonder is what is all you need. When did you surprise yourself last with
Uh,
anything you did or anything you said or thought, like anything where you felt like, oh cool, I didn't expect this.
the thing is, like talking about age, like the last two concerts that I have seen, like all of the public, it's like 20 something, and then my wife and me like 40 something. Like don't tag in yourself with this age that you have to be part of this gang. So the last time was 2 weeks ago that I photographed like a wedding for 12 hours straight, and then I still had the energy to go to a concert, man. Like, don't be like, oh, I'm too old to do this shit. Like, it matters a lot how you talk to yourself.
Yeah,
so
it's
so so never diminish, like, oh, I'm of this generation, I cannot do this kind of shit, man.
yeah,
Like, fuck that.
yeah,
Exercise, eat good, man. Keep your community growing, and never say like, oh, no, I already have my friends. Fuck that. We can still make new friends even in our 40s.
yeah. It's definitely true. Do you have anything on your mind that bothers you about the wedding industry right now that you would love people to think differently?
No, I think that we have to stop generalizing. I think that's it, because we say a lot, the people, the industry, the other photographers. Um, just take care of yourself first, and then your community, and everything is gonna be amazing, man. Like, don't think that everyone's trying to mess you up, or everybody's against you or your style. I think we have to stop generalizing and just take care of our little part of our house, our social media, our website, all that shit, man. And don't talk shit about people who are doing it different than you, because everybody's trying to figure it out.
And in the end, everybody just wants to have to lead a happy life. Like we all doing our best day to day to survive in a way.
Hmm.
Like kind of get the bills paid and just be happy.
Correct. That's it, man. Yeah. Don't take your art or yourself seriously. If wedding photography it's only a business for you, try to find a personal project so you can keep your creative juices growing, so you don't get a burnout. And if you see wedding photography as your personal project, really go deep, man. Educate yourself, and don't be afraid of shouting who you are and how you see the world.
Yeah, fully agreed. Um, do you have anything you want to talk about that you're doing at the moment? Like any projects coming up, any workshops, or anything that you like? This is the time for the only really businessy marketing part I want to talk about is like your shameless self promotion. If you want to say
No, no,
something,
no,
say it
just
now.
no. I'm just happy to have been talking with you, man. To be friends for this long, and you have a friend and a family in Mexico, man. That's it. Nothing to promote.
Awesome, man. It was so nice to have you, and I think it was a great start for this new podcast kind of thing. Bye, man.
Bye, brother.
If there's one thing I hope you take away from this, it's that you don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to give a damn. About your work, about your people, about yourself. It's not about chasing perfect. It's about staying messy, curious, and real. Wherever you are right now, don't forget, your heart's still beating. So fucking act like it. Thanks for hanging out with us. Until next time.